President Barack Obama asked the U.S. Congress to authorize a military strike against Syria. We have the latest. The rise of televangelists in Kenya. Are they in search of souls or dollars? And who's headed for the world's oldest sports trophy? We'll have the latest on the sailing race known as the America's Cup. Africa 54 starts right now.
Hello, I'm Mariama Diallo, and this is Africa 54. U.S. President Barack Obama is pushing for congressional authorization in support of U.S. military action against Syria for allegedly using poison gas on its own citizens outside Damascus last month, killing more than 1,000 people. Top U.S. lawmakers were briefed on Sunday on intelligence regarding the Syrian military's use of chemical weapons. As VOA's Michael Bowman reports, Washington is far from united on the wisdom, much less the timing of strikes against President Bashar al-Assad's regime.
Secretary Kerry says new information about chemical weapons use in Syria strengthens the case for military action.
We now have evidence from hair and blood samples from first responders in East Damascus, the people who came to help. We have signatures of sarin in their hair and blood samples. So the case is growing stronger by the day.
Kerry defended President Barack Obama's decision to seek congressional approval for military strikes.
I think it's a courageous decision. He is not trying to create an imperial presidency.
Republican Senator John McCain ridiculed U.S. inaction.
When the President of the United States said that that it was a red line, he didn't say that it's a red line and, by the way, I'm going to have to seek the approval of Congress. He said it was a red line and the United States of America would act.
Some lawmakers doubt Congress will authorize the use of force. Republican Senator SAXBY CHAMBLISS.
I would say if the president cannot make his case to Congress, then it's not going to pass. He's got to come out and really be in depth with respect to the intelligence that we know is out there. He's got to be in depth with respect to what type of military action is going to be taken.
U.S. officials provided a classified briefing to members of Congress Sunday. Afterwards, several lawmakers said they are convinced that chemical weapons were used in Syria. But questions remain, according to Democratic Congresswoman Janice Hahn.
Is this a reason to go to war? What is the objectives of going to war? What authorization are we actually giving our president?
Hahn says the United States should not have to act alone.
Where is the international community if this is such an outrage, if this is so abhorrent to everyone?
Republican Congressman Scott Ridgell praised the president's decision to seek congressional approval, but said he is a no vote for now.
I'm a no because the clarity of where all of this goes, the definition of that we've accomplished the mission, that is still unclear to me.
By contrast, Democratic Representative Sandy Levin backs military intervention in Syria.
I have confidence that members of Congress will step up to the plate, because if we do nothing, I think it sends the very wrong message.
Saturday, President Obama said he does not need Congress's permission to order a strike, but nevertheless wants the backing of the nation's representatives in Washington. The full Congress returns to work September 9th. Michael Bowman, VOA News, Washington.
Thank you, Michael. For more insight on the crisis in Syria, VOA's Elizabeth Arrott joins us live via Skype from Cairo. Good evening, Elizabeth.
Hi, Mariama.
Well, on Friday and over the weekend, Secretary Kerry made a strong case for the U.S. to act, but then President Obama kind of hit the pause button to seek congressional approval. What is the reaction from President Bashar al-Assad's side? We know that his deputy foreign minister, Faisal Mekdad, had made some comments.
Yes, this is actually being treated as somewhat of a victory for the pro-government side. We've had the deputy prime minister sort of talking about the retreat that President Obama has had to make, that it's made him look a bit weaker. Now, I've also talked to other people in Damascus. Mind you, it's hard to get anyone from opposing view on the record from Damascus. It's still very difficult there. But they're sounding the same note, that this was President Obama trying to shirk responsibility by passing it off onto Congress. But some people still feel that the strike will go ahead, that they're preparing and they're defiant. They talk about the allies that they have and warn of retaliation.
Well, in addition to declaring victory, I think the Deputy Foreign Minister Faisal Mekdad also talked about the fact that a strike would only benefit Al-Qaeda, right?
Yes, that is one of the dynamics that they try to point out, is that they're fighting just Al-Qaeda. I mean, there's certainly Al-Qaeda-linked elements in the opposition, but they have done a blanket on any opposition as being terrorists. They also accuse the United States of backing the Al-Qaeda, which is a difficult concept to embrace, but that is the line, and so that this is something that you're seeing more and more of, and this divide, anything really that sort of puts the U.S. in a difficult position.
Well, Elizabeth, what can you say? What can you tell us about a possible strike on Syria? Possibly, what can it mean for neighboring countries like Iran and down the line, North Korea?
Well, I think it's difficult for people because they don't know what the reaction will be. Will Iran come in and back up their ally, Bashar al-Assad? Will that also spur Israel to move in on Iran, which it has been very concerned, obviously, about its nuclear program? So there's this absolute sort of snowball effect that people are very, very wary about, and it's not sure, and that's some of the things that we heard in Mike Bowman's report, is where does this all go? Even, is it just one strike? Is it more strikes? What is the limit? And then what will the reactions be? And that has people very nervous.
And have people been actually talking about the objective of these strikes? Like, what is actually the objective? Is it to send a message to President Assad to stop, or is it actually to get rid of President Assad? So what are people, how are people addressing that issue?
I think people are looking at mainly, as we've been hearing it from the United States, that it would be a limited strike, and then that raises many people's questions. Well, what is the point? Is it the point just to denounce him for the alleged use of chemical weapons? In which case, people are thinking it probably won't have that much of an effect. If they really degrade the government, some of the government site, it might give a slight advantage to the rebels. But no one at the moment thinks that the U.S. is going in for regime change, at least for the majority of people.
Well, let's talk about atmosphere in Damascus. Basically, what are your sources telling you about possible changes on the streets? Are people prepping for a possible strike?
They certainly were very much so up to about Friday, until we got Friday and early Saturday, and then when when it seemed that the strike could come within hours, people were saying they're buying bread and stocking up on food. But then once President Obama said he was seeking congressional approval, it seemed to have relaxed a certain amount. And some people are saying actually it's going to give them more time to prepare. The people who are in support of the government will give the government more time to prepare defenses, but if nothing else, there's a little bit of breathing room. And you have to remember, these are people who've been 2.5 years of war, so this is not just something out of the blue. They are already on a conflict zone footing, so it's just one more step for them, one way or the other.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Thank you. We appreciate your insight.